Good evening and warm welcome to all the participants. This is session number 200 and we are quite excited to celebrate this session with all of you. Please join me in welcoming our celebrated speaker here, Shri Pallam Raju Garu. Sir, good evening, sir. Thank you so much for agreeing to add on this milestone session. You've spared your time to speak to us. Thank you so much. These are WiseViews leadership conversations, which we host every Friday. We have been doing it over the 200 weeks that we just completed. This is the 200th session. The excitement is palpable. You can see that. And in this journey, we have had many leaders, many illustrious leaders from all walks of life. And we have a very exciting leader for this session as well. We have Mr. Pallam Raju Garu. He's going to talk about leadership in public life, balancing vision, values, and governance. So this is a session for 1 hour as usual. We'll have 2 clusters of Q&A and we'll have lots of learning to take home. Let me try and attempt this introduction to the extent possible. I will try and make it compact, but it's very difficult. Mr. Pallam Raju Garu has joined. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Former Union Cabinet Minister, Government of India. Also the founding director, Advanced System and Package Technologies Private Limited, ASIC, a company that is in the process of setting up a global standard semiconductor OSAT facility in Hyderabad, in India. Founder of 2 companies in semiconductor design services and IP development with successful exits. He served as director on the boards of Air India and Indian Airlines, the erstwhile National Airlines, between 94 to 97. Worked abroad in management consulting and IT in Boston and Oslo in Norway between 86 and 88. He has handled many national responsibilities and some of them are listed here. He served as the Union Cabinet Minister of HRD, Government of India, in the Cabinet of Prime Minister of Dr. Manmohan Singh, a vast responsibility that included policy formulation for the entire education system in India, from school to university education. He also served as Union Minister of State, Raksha Rajya Mantri in the Ministry of Defense, one of the longest serving ministers in the portfolio. He handled the responsibility of defense production, defense estates, border roads organization, National Cadet Corps, territorial army, Sainik schools, and ex-servicemen welfare. He represented the country in many international conferences and bilateral defense dialogues worldwide, played a proactive role in strengthening the defense industrial base, and has been the visible face of government articulating the defense offsets policy in defense expos and at Aero India conferences. Shri Pallam Raju Garu served as chairman Parliamentary Standing Committee on IT. The notable contribution as chairman of this eminent committee has been the significant report submitted to the Parliament on the utilization of the spectrum and also the initiative and advocacy towards India having its own semiconductor fab, a critical requirement for the country. He was elected to the Lok Sabha thrice in 1989, 2004 and 2009 from Kakinada, the East Godavari district of Andhra Pradesh. He studied BE Electronics and Communications from Andhra University and MBA from the famous Temple University, Philadelphia. He was honored with various recognitions. Some of them are here. The Institution of Electronics and Telecom Engineers, IETE, conferred its highest honor, the Honorary Fellow, in July 2013. Temple University honored its alumnus by conferring an honorary doctorate of Humane Letters in May 2013. JNTU Hyderabad awarded him an honorary doctorate in 2007. Sir has authored A Contribution in Time, India's Electronics Revolution, a biographical book about his esteemed father, Dr. M.S. Sanjeev Rao, India's first electronics minister, regarding the electronics growth story of India. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. I will also take a moment to introduce my senior colleague, Dr. R. Prasad. He is the senior director in the academic wing of ICFAI Group. He brings 3 decades of rich experience as an entrepreneur, as a corporate professional, and now as an academic at ICFAI. He holds BTech from Electronics and Communications from IIT Bombay and PGDM from IIM Kolkata. Welcome, Dr. Prasad. Thank you so much. We are all set, sir. We are eagerly waiting to learn from you. Over to you now. And before that, one moment, I want to thank everybody who has joined today around the screen, all the ladies and gentlemen, all the professionals and entrepreneurs and leaders. Thank you so much for your continuous support and for joining the 200th session as well. Let us all invite Mr. Pallam Raju Garu to start the session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sudhakar Garu. Thank you for that very generous introduction. And I would like to thank Dr. Prasad and you and the entire ICFAI team for giving me this 200th opportunity to speak on the ICFAI platform. And I hope that the engagement today would be meaningful and informative to the participants. The subject is a deep one and yet a relevant one for today and all times. And I shall try and do justice to the topic against the light of my experience of having handled important responsibilities in the union government. As the topic goes, leadership is all about beginning with core values, having a vision for the larger good, and striving towards ensuring good governance. Sound policy making should be the bedrock for translating intentions into actions, and the competence and performance of any government would be based on that. Extensive stakeholder consultations also constitutes an important prerequisite in policy formation. Before I get into an analysis of the ground situation in India from current realities and the future perspective, we as a nation need to be more enlightened and need to differentiate between statesmen and politicians while exercising our adult franchise in order to ensure far-sighted leaders and policies. I have encapsulated my thoughts into 6 sides with points which should hopefully go with the allotted time for me to speak, after which we shall enjoy an interactive session. So once again, I thank you for your generous introduction. This is the topic of the day, and like I said, it's a very relevant topic for today and for the times to come. And we all live in changing times, which are changing very fast. And I will try to capture the essence of India and the situation today and what is it that needs to be done as we go forward. So if you look at India as a nation, we are a very diverse entity with widely varying regions, cultures, professions, economic backgrounds, and education levels. Truly a multi-layered and heterogeneous population. However, the people of this country are bound by the common thread of a rich heritage of being an ancient civilization. And the characteristics of our people and society are harmonious, humane, social, tolerant, accommodative, and hardworking. All factors which are propelling the nation forward despite the diversity. As we stand today with a young demographic, we are a driven and an ambitious nation riding on the shoulders of a large and aspirational young population, which is 65% of the population under the age of 35 years. The economic progress of the nation over the decades since independence has been phenomenal. Yet there is a significant percentage of the population below the poverty line, with a glaring wealth disparity between the minuscule percentage of the affluent and the economic weaker majority, which continues to widen. If you look at the India's economy today, it's a 4.19 trillion economy, currently the 4th largest. But unfortunately, with a per capita income of only 172,000 rupees, which is one of the lowest in the world. If you look at the composition of our GDP, agriculture still provides the largest occupation to people and constitutes about 18 to 19% of the GDP. Industry and the manufacturing sector constitute about 25% of the GDP, and the services sector, which constitutes 55% of the GDP, is increasingly becoming the dominant economic driver. If you look ahead, projections say that the services sector will continue to dominate, reaching about 60% of the GDP and employing 52% of the workforce. The manufacturing sector is expected to contribute about 18% of GDP, employing 15% of the workforce, while the agriculture sector is expected to decline to 10% of GDP, with its share of employment dropping to 22%. We are seeing that happening in the villages with people, labor being unavailable. Economic liberalization happened in the 1990s. We've seen the fruits of the economic liberalization which has unleashed the true potential of the nation, propelling the economic growth of an open economy which was willing to compete in the world markets. We've seen the growth across the years. Ever since then, successive governments until today have carried forward the economic reforms and have been consistent in the direction and the trajectory of the reforms, thereby unshackling the growth across sectors and disciplines, ensuring consistent growth of the economy. The services sector has been the dominant driver of the economy, propelled by the rise in the contribution by the information technology, communications, and the knowledge disciplines. Currently, it is valued around $2.8 trillion of India's nominal GDP of $4.19 trillion. An increasingly educated, skilled, and knowledgeable workforce is ensuring the consistent growth of the services sector and the indispensability of India's versatile talent worldwide. Value-added manufacturing and services are the backbone of the knowledge work being done out of India today also. Increasing digital infrastructure, improved connectivity, affordable broadband and internet connectivity, and a highly adaptable population have all contributed in significant measure to the growth in the increase in services, especially from the growing gig economy. A great gap in the research spent by the nation is very glaring, thereby leading to major shortfall on research output and innovation. It is believed that it constitutes about 0.6% of the budget, and it is a very tiny amount which needs to be jumped up. Based on that, I think there is a significant gap of adequate funding for entrepreneurship and knowledge-based startup initiatives. I think we need to change that quickly. So the challenges before the nation are quite humongous. There's increasing disparity and deprivation to the poorer sections of the population. There is a glaringly large divide in the lifestyle and access to basic living conditions, health and education, therefore leading to differential living standards and access to opportunities. A wide disparity between the aspirations and access to opportunities for a majority of the young population who constitute the potential demographic dividend for the nation. It is important to make agriculture viable and remunerative, as it still remains the primary occupation to a large percentage of population and directly impacts the rural economy and the standards of living there. We have to ensure, the nutritional standards, education standards, and skilling opportunities across the nation towards attaining a healthy, educated, and a skilled working age generation. Inadequate attention and resources are being dispensed to for the core institutions, and that needs to be changed. Skilling institutions such as the polytechnics, ITIs, and other skill imparting institutions need to be strengthened. Higher education institutions need to be nurtured and guided towards value-added education, research, and innovation. Knowledge partnership with leading higher education institutions worldwide also need to be encouraged. Ensuring reliable infrastructure and utilities and connectivity in today's information age is an imperative to facilitate the population in rural and remote areas of the country. While unemployment remains an ongoing challenge, emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence and their applications are threatening to make many jobs redundant. Last year, in 2024, the big three, TCS, Infosys, and Wipro, laid off 65,000 workers. And this is the change that is coming about. Having handled the defense portfolio, I'll also talk about the security challenges to the nation. There are several security challenges, both internal and external. The major threats emanating from our eastern neighbor, China, and our western neighbor, Pakistan. While Pakistan continues its covert warfare through terrorism, China continues its aggressive posture on the line of actual control and remains hostile in the United Nations Security Council, both Pakistan and China having formed a nexus that is largely raged against India's interests. In our neighborhood, the fragility of the economies of some of our surrounding countries and their respective political instability as to the security challenges in the neighborhood. India's vast coastline of 7,500 kilometers and the Indian Ocean region also provide the respective security challenge that need to be addressed comprehensively. Natural disasters, which whether due to landslides and heavy rains in the hilly states or cyclones along the vast coastline, floods caused during the rainy season are ongoing challenges of the country. China's belligerent posturing on the line of actual control and in the South China Sea, coupled with its economic might and lopsided trade surpluses, and its Belt and Road Initiative have compelled weaker nations in the neighborhood to subservience, causing instability in the region around India. If you look at the changing warfare today, as demonstrated during the recent wars between Russia, Ukraine, and Israel, Iran, especially drone warfare with stealth and surprise elements, it calls for a higher order of preparedness with sharper real-time technologies and responses. India, apart from being a responsible nuclear power with a no-first strike policy, has, however, strengthened its armed forces and their capabilities in an assiduous manner, building strong deterrence capabilities and strengthening the indigenous manufacturing sector. Today, the role of the private sector in defense manufacturing has also grown substantially and has become an indispensable and integral component to the nation's defense industrial base. Having given you the current situation and what has happened in the past, I will look at some of the enabling policies across governments that have addressed some of the social challenges. In the past, we had the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana 2000, which was the villages connectivity scheme, which has connected our rural villages very well. And it has played an important role in nation building. The Right to Information Act 2005 was to enable transparency and accountability of governments and to put sensitive information at the fingertips of our citizens so that they're aware of how the government is acting. The Right to Employment Act 2005 was to ensure minimum employment across the nation and to help address the challenges of rural distress, especially during the non-agricultural season, and to provide that basic minimum to any given family. The Right to Education Act 2010 was to universalize education, especially school education, until the class 8, and which is coupled with midday meal scheme, which is one of the largest in the world. This ensures that every child has a right to go to school across the nation. The National Food Security Act 2013 was to address the minimal nutritional and food needs to the poorer population. It is extensively applied and people are able to get that basic minimum food security. The Right to Fair Compensation and Transparency in Land Acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act 2030 that protects the right of landowners in case of acquisitions by governments. And we are all aware of the Aadhaar, the Targeted Delivery of Financial and Other Subsidies, Benefits and Services Act 2016, which is eliminating any middle layers between the government's intent to send money to the real beneficiaries. These are some of the enabling provisions that have happened over time, but I think a lot more needs to be done in order to bring some social parity in society today. And as we stand at the crossroads of growth and the aspirations of young people, I think I would like to end my presentation with some suggestions towards strengthening our democratic institutions and getting the nation future ready. Strengthening our democratic institutions is an imperative and an uncompromising requirement towards reinforcing faith in the system and the nation. Enhancing our education, health, and financial institutions, again, is important to strengthen the foundations of the nation's true resources, which is our people. Ensuring dedicated nutritional health interventions, sustained support to the school infrastructure, and to the quality of teachers, and seamless integration of skills into the education framework are paramount. inclusion of humanitarian values and the larger cause of the social good is to be integrated into our syllabus and educational content. Streamlining the judicial system and our courts, given their invaluable role in the delivery of justice and the humongous backlog of cases, is also equally important. Preparing future generations in changing times like now to tackle the challenges posed by emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, which threatens to displace a number of people, by treating it as an opportunity to adapt and to upskill, ensuring that we as a nation stay ahead of the curve. And the last point is, I think we should aim at a minimum of doubling our per capita income by creating an enabling system for research, innovation, entrepreneurship, and skilling, all equally important domains for creating a future for the young population, which we believe is our future dividend. So with this, I end my presentation. I thank you for this opportunity again, and I hope that we will enjoy a good interactive session. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir. That's a very thoughtful presentation coming from your side. You have started with the benefits of economic liberalization that happened in the early 90s and how it has actually developed the country all around. And without being political, you have so thoughtfully listed some of the benefits that has been delivered to the system and also to the citizens of this country through various policies, various decisions that have been taken, and subsequently the successive governments have taken up a good work leading to growth in various sectors. The boom in services is notable of that. Of course, we have to sit down and think about agriculture and manufacturing as well. But more importantly, you have made a pitch for building a healthy, educated, and skilled generation. And therefore, we need to create enough resources for them to build the country in future. So thank you so much, sir. I have really liked the kind of presentation that you have made, which is very, very serious in nature, which is required for this country at this time. The challenges that you have listed about not just the social or democratic challenges that we have, but also the security challenges, challenges posed by technology, challenges posed by unemployment, so on and so forth. They're all quite pertinent. Thank you so much for putting it together, sir. At a short notice, you have done that. We are thankful to you for this. And I would like to now request Professor Prasad to come in for the cluster number 1 for the Q&A. And before that, I want to thank all the distinguished members who are joining. Large number of people are there around the screen. This is being streamed live on Facebook as well. So we see some of the comments flowing as well. Thank you so much, all of you. We will have a good Q&A and also be ready with your questions. Thank you, and over to Professor Prasad.
Thank you, Professor Rao. Thank you, sir, for a wonderful introduction. It is the first time that we are having a cabinet minister who served the government of India speaking to us. We all have.
I'm honored. Thank you.
Yeah. All of us have notions about how, people in politics are, but I think you portray a completely different image, and that is coming across live. It is very important, sir. As they say in the Bhagavad Gita, whatever action a great man does, performs, common men will follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, the world pursues. So we are looking forward to a good number of insights from the actions that you've contributed to. I'm also very happy that you are in a business which is connected to your original degree and something which helps the country, because I think, as you have mentioned correctly, it is a very strategic area, and I hope it does extremely well, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
I come to the first question, sir. Looking back as a minister, you've been a minister in 2 departments. What achievements would you highlight, 1 or 2, and how would you, illustrate the balancing between vision, values, and governments here in terms of the journey?
Yeah. You want me to answer that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I will come to, before becoming a minister, I was also the chairman of the Parliamentary Standing Committee for Information Technology. And I took the initiative before the minister did to take up the area of the utilization of the spectrum. And, it was in our report, we did say that the spectrum is an invaluable resource which needs to be used judiciously. And we did extensive consultations. And ironically, I think the UPA government was found at fault for not having auctioned the spectrum and giving it away. And that became a major thing. The then CAG had audited that if we had auctioned the spectrum, the resources to the country would have been 1,76,000 crores. And the interpretation was that 1,76,000 crores was mismanaged by our government, unfortunately. Anyway, having said that, I have a lot of satisfactory things that I could achieve, even as a Minister of State in the Ministry of Defense, because both my bosses, Sri Pranab Mukherjee and Sri Mr. A.K. Antony, gave me the freedom and allowed me to, follow up on things that they felt were important, and they trusted my judgment. So one of the things that I could manage to do as I was handling the Border Roads Organization was to initiate the construction of the Rohtang Tunnel, which they believed was an important access from Manali to Leh, and it provided an alternate access for the movement of our armed forces. The access to the point from where the tunnel was that was started during Vajpayee ji's time, but the actual construction of the tunnel kept getting postponed because of the humongous resources it involved. But then I took a call saying that if it is an important and alternate access, it is important that we start it. And we got it started in 2010. And of course, it got completed subsequently. And it's been named the Atal Tunnel, which I'm very happy about, because Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, as the Prime Minister, took the initiative to laying the road that leads to the mouth of the tunnel. But the actual execution of the tunnel, and similarly, a very important bridge across the Chenab between Srinagar and Jammu and the Kashmir regions was also started during my times. And several border roads projects which were of a strategic nature were initiated. So I take great satisfaction on that, because that was actual work that got translated. Similarly, we were trying to widen the defense industrial base in defense manufacturing. And we had something called the offsets policy, and which involved that 30% of the value of anything that we were to purchase from abroad had to be manufactured out of India. And in the case of higher value items like the Rafale, 50% was that to be manufactured out of India. So I used to be the voice of the government in articulating the policy, explaining it to investors and in international platforms. I take great pride in that.
Thank you, sir. I think not just in defense, in education also, if one does a ChatGPT query, you get so many things that you have done. I'll come to one of them, sir. If you look at the Right to Education Act right now, which came in during your time, sir, and if you look at the progress made, there's a lot of progress made in terms of the percentages of people who have got in. When you look at it with respect to outcomes, learning outcomes which you would like to achieve, given the challenges of India, given all the issues that you mentioned, what kind of suggestions would you give to all those who are following up on that?
See, I think the Right to Education Act was implemented in a very large-hearted spirit, but its implementations remains challenging to achieve the actual objectives of it. In terms of enrollment and numbers, I think we've achieved that, because we funded for 3 years, we funded states to create the infrastructure and to hire the teachers that were needed to fulfill the program. So each state has its own challenges, including the progressive states, because I think the progressive states have so many private schools, and they were supposed to integrate, people from poorer economic backgrounds also into the private schools, which hasn't happened in the spirit with which we expected it to happen. And regarding the learning outcomes, somehow they have remained poor, maybe because we have expanded the teacher base quite fast and we've left it to states without vetting the quality of the teachers who are getting hired. And also we have not ensured the complete facilities that are needed in terms of school infrastructure. And I think as far as the midday meals program was concerned, I think again there are challenges in its implementation and the sincerity of the implementation, which is an important factor for a child of those ages going to school. I think the midday meal program is an important constituent to which in which both the parents and the teachers were expected to be involved from the local community. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened to the extent that we were hoping. But if that awareness comes about, that only with the involvement of the local community, the local parents and the teachers, can an education environment be well-rounded. I think if that realization comes, I'm sure things would be better for the learning outcomes.
Thank you, sir. I think you've highlighted many key points, and the very last point also extremely important. We had a couple of speakers from social ventures who are right in that field in certain parts of the country, who have kind of at that level, at that district or in that particular state, implemented this, taking exactly the kind of points that you mentioned as far as the local environment goes. Thank you very much, sir. Another point which I would like to bring out is, though today through NEP, the 4-year undergraduate program is popular, the 4-year undergraduate program at the Delhi University was a major reform during your tenure. How did you, but there was a lot of, noise around it at that particular time. How do you manage resistance to change, both within the government systems as well as the public, to stay committed to such sort of a reform?
See, I was very unsuccessful in implementing that reform. I will tell you exactly what has happened. It was the Vice Chancellor of Delhi University, Professor Danish Singh, who wanted to implement this. And and it was supported by both the Secretary to Higher Education and the UGC Chairman. And overstepping the concerns of a lot of people, including the faculty. I chose to support the Vice Chancellor for implementing it because he had a very clear idea about intertwining skill building and across disciplines into the 4-year degree. And I thought that was a very good idea, which improved their prospects and also helped them for their higher education. And so despite the representations from a lot of leaders who had expressed their apprehensions and the unpreparedness of the faculty saying that they had too short a time to alter the syllabus, I chose to go ahead and support the Vice Chancellor for its implementation. And I had asked the UGC chairman to monitor it, that should in case anything goes wrong, we had a window for course correction. So unfortunately, our government changed at that time and the new government came in. And I think the new minister was completely against the 4-year course. And the same secretary and the same UGC chairman said it was a bad idea to the new minister. So that is how things happen in Government of India. But I think subsequently, I think people saw the wisdom for it and went ahead and implemented it. And the new education policy also recommends that I think interdisciplinary culture and imparting of skills across the educational spectrum is also equally important.
Excellent, sir. I think you took the right call, but perhaps there are other factors at play. And I think that makes the job of a politician even more difficult. And many of us, though we criticize politicians, we don't understand the kind of challenges that they face and the maneuvers that they need to make in order to manage it. Sir, the next question is, another very major thing which is building up today is the your launch of the National Mission of Education using ICT. And what was your vision at that time? How do you think it has unfolded?
See, we had the wideband network called the National Knowledge Network, which spanned universities and also all research institutions. The whole idea was to enable exchange of information and knowledge in a seamless manner to help people doing research or gain degrees, do their theses, again share deep knowledge within disciplines. That was the whole idea of the National Knowledge Network, which I think got stabilized over a period of time. And I hope that it is being utilized well by all the central universities and the knowledge institutions of higher education. and the research institutions. So ICT's implementation to that extent is very, very important. But I think if we are to enable students at the school level and the college level, again, it is a question of their familiarity with the utilization of technology, the speed of the connectivity, and the quality of the content that they have access to. All these are factors that will either encourage or inhibit people from leveraging ICT for their benefit. But I see that will happen incrementally. You yourself have been using ChatGPT to search things. Now that's become a part of our lives to search for information. And AI is threatening to disrupt a lot of jobs, but at the same time, it is also harbors the potential for enhancing one's productivity. So how we weave that into our current realities of this nation that has such wide disparities in education levels, in access to IT, in leveraging smartphones, because maybe the younger generation is easily adapts to smartphones, but I think if you look at the actual education levels, they still remain quite poor. So how we implement it for the general good is in the hands of the policymakers, and I hope that we will make wise choices.
Thank you, sir. You've acknowledged the progress. You've also highlighted a number of issues because it's a very long journey. And we hope that that will strengthen the background and add to the strengths that this country enjoys. Sir, I'll take a last question. This is slightly personal. Hereditary and monetary strength. This comes from one of our audience. Heredity and monetary strength are still predominant factors to build a career in politics. You also mentioned, though you didn't kind of spend time on it, now how do you choose? You mentioned about adult franchise, and you have this situation. So how do you think academia can contribute in this?
I think not only academia, I think all enlightened citizens who care for good governance have to encourage voting and have to be very, very discernible in their choices. The ground reality until 2014, I had fought 6 Lok Sabha elections where it was a straight fight. Although the cost of elections went up, the role of money to the voter was absent. It was a straight fight. You did your politics, your dirty tricks, other dirty tricks, but never was the role of money to the voter there. From 2014, it had got institutionalized in our area. I cannot talk about other areas. And you are in the race only if you are distributing money to the public. That, unfortunately, is the reality in the southern states of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra, and Telangana. I don't know if it is prevalent in the north, but this has become the prerequisite, and this has changed the dynamics of the money being spent in elections. It is proving to be a very strong factor for the electorate to decide on whom they want to vote for. In this environment, I mean, I don't know if education matters at all, because if you actually see the reality, whether they're educated or not, the voters are taking the money. That is the unfortunate reality today. And I hope that we will come out of this negative cycle at some point very quickly.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for honestly acknowledging the facts on the ground. We are at about 7:15. I hand the session back to Professor Rao.
Thank you very much, Dr. Prasad. So thank you very much for this wonderful conversation, very authentic and very sincere and aimed at developing the nation. I have lots of questions, but let me focus on one or two and then hand over the mic to the audience if they have questions. They seem to be having lots of questions, actually. So the first question is about leadership. Leadership is tested every time, especially in public life. When you go to make a decision, it is tested. Now, when you try to pass lots of, say, key bills in HRD, how did you bring around consensus? What kind of efforts you made? It is not just the political party that you belong to that will make the efforts. It is not just the entity that you are assigned with, that is your ministry, that will make the efforts, but also the individual matters here. So, what kind of leadership challenge did you go through while making some of the key HRD bills go through or pass in the parliament?
Well, we had a lot of well-meaning bills and very far-sighted bills that were, drawn up. But unfortunately, we did not succeed in passing all those due to the opposition getting into a very negative mood at that time. But there are you have to. What I noticed about the bureaucracy first is the bureaucracy cooperates once they realize that the minister is well-meaning. So I had a lot of support from my ministry and the officers involved. I did in my efforts to get bills going. I did talk to the leaders of opposition both in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and took the effort of personally explaining to them the pros of the bill and the intent of the bill. Similarly, I made an effort where it was stuck. I made an effort with the chairman of the standing committee to push it through with the members after explaining the merits of certain bills. And of course, you have to put it, articulate it properly on the houses of the parliament and, bare your soul. And similarly, do your efforts with the media to build up a positive things like that. So these are things that you have to indulge in. And I think at the end of the day, your sincere intent makes a lot of difference across all these spheres.
Genuine, sincere efforts and indulgence in talking to various stakeholders will actually help you see the light in terms of the efforts that you are making to table those bills. Yeah, thank you, sir. Another related question is: you have served not just in the cabinet but also in the constituencies. So, how do you balance this? How do you stay rooted in the concerns of the people while being busy with the national policy making?
No, that's definitely a juggling act because both are very, very diverse responsibilities. But I can tell you that having faced several elections and having being continuously nurturing an area, it is a lot of satisfaction. And I think politics is a good teacher. It exposes you to so much. And but again, the nature of requests is also changing. When I entered politics, there was a lot of requests for the larger good, whereas now it has come down to what is in it for me. And so it's a lot of, you're flooded with more personal requests than requests for the larger good. Those are the challenges of the constituency. But if you have the larger objective in mind towards making a qualitative difference in the lives of people who have elected you, I think you automatically channelize your energies in that direction. And so you have to stay rooted as far as the constituency is concerned, be aware of the concerns, while at the national level, your focus has to be on passing through the intent in the form of a bill or legislation that again promises good for a large amount of people. So there again, you have to decide how you channelize the energy, like I had explained to you before. So these are very diverse things, but of course, each is equally enjoyable.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, juggling these diverse aspects of policy making as well as being in connection with the people in the constituency is definitely a challenge. And as you rightly said, politics is a good teacher. It also humbles a lot of people who go through the journey of, satisfying the stakeholders and making sense of one's role given at the national level. Thank you so much, sir. We have been watching you. You've been fantastic during your tenure. Thank you. I'll now request Dr. Amit Badra for his question. Over to you, sir. Dr. Amit Badra. We are not able to hear you, sir. Okay. In the meantime, we'll take a question from Dr. Anita Raman.
Good evening, sir. And I congratulate both our professors for this eminent 200th episode. And we are very fortunate to have you here. It's a long journey from our institution. And it was so well placed that you had taken every aspect of it and you had given a comprehensive view of how to take it forward. Thank you so much. So I have one small query. In our education system, if you were to look at especially the primary and the secondary education, the quality content and the entire education system, if you were to look at the private schooling with reference to, tier 2, tier 3 cities, the quality of content and the delivery and the resources that are not sufficient to meet the industry demands with the changing dynamic, the AI coming into picture. So do you have any suggestions, how to build a resilient education system so that, the demographic dividend is perhaps, utilized properly? You had many pointers where you said, or, ITIs or diplomas that we are giving out, the skill sets that are required have to be enhanced and nourished. Any thoughts on that, sir?
Yeah, I think two different issues here, what you had mentioned. Getting the students to be industry ready is a real challenge. And, in the past, statistics have shown that most of the output coming out of our, especially our engineering colleges, are not industry ready.
Correct.
So most of these colleges I hear have these soft skills training program. But again, what I've heard is the focus is going more on to developing these soft skills rather than helping the students absorb the subject knowledge. So the focus is becoming on getting them hired rather than making them capable through subject knowledge. So I think it is important to balance both, while the subject knowledge has to be ingrained into the students, we have to get them with soft skills and industry readiness through enhancing the labs and giving them some real-time projects. I think this is something that institutions that want to make a name for themselves have to consciously do.
Sure.
As far as skilling is concerned, I think the thumb rule is for every engineering college we should have had skilling institutions, whether it was a polytechnic or an ITI. But because the engineering colleges became a money game, the skilling institutions got neglected. And that is what we've fallen back on our manufacturing competitiveness. This certainly needs to be addressed.
Very true, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anita Raman. We will now go to Mrs. Padmaja. Over to you, Mrs. Padmaja.
Good evening, Sudhakar Rao garu. Good evening, Prasad sir, and Pallam Raj garu. Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. If you recollect, we had met, you had come over to our institute at Rami Institute of Management in Bangalore, and we had a good discussion on, again, leadership and a lot of other things. You were a part of a discussion with our faculty members. Thank you, Sudhakar sir, for giving me this opportunity to ask this question. Now, I teach both business ethics as well as leadership. So when I talk about ethical aspects in leadership, sometimes I would also love to give examples of good politicians. Somehow I withhold myself and it doesn't come across in a very natural or an easy way. So why do you think, or my question is, how difficult it is for leaders to be ethical when you're in a, when you're in the, in a leadership role? And how do we ensure that good leaders continue to contribute well to the society? Because we'd like to give examples of good leaders. So it's very difficult to survive and sustain these challenges. When you want to do something good, there's someone else who's pulling you down. So my question is simple. Do ethics and leadership, how do we bring these two together and collaborate and have good classroom discussions? Thank you. Over to you, sir.
I think it's a dichotomy, be having ethical leaders and the current reality today. But having said that, I think every leader is well-meaning, and what shapes the leader is the environment outside, which is the public. And that is where I think if the public, like I said, when I started my career, the people who would approach me, or if I went into the general public, the requests were for the larger good. Today, it is more individual based, most of the requests that come to you. Similarly, I've told you about the role of money in politics today. If the voters are saying that, if you want to be in the race, you need to distribute money, that's a whole different dynamic now. So in such a situation, how do good leaders or ethical leaders remain ethical? That is the challenge before them. When the environment around is changing, how do you survive? So I think this is something, is a very difficult, we're passing through a very difficult time in terms of the landscape that is changing rapidly and to its detriment. And how do we arrest this and, bring back a better form of electioneering, better form of public leaders remains a challenge. And that is where the enlightened society has to also build up the awareness. I'm sorry for throwing back the responsibility at you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. There is actually being staying rooted in the reality and accepting challenges as accepting. And then the responsibility of all of us, all stakeholders, including education institutions, including other democratic institutions in the country, politicians, so on and so forth. We all need to play a role there. If there is too much of temptation to actually succumb to those evolving measures, then it becomes very, very pertinent. The challenge becomes much more accentuated to actually navigate it. So it is a challenge. So we take challenge as a challenge. We are happy to have questions that remain unanswered rather than statements that are unquestioned. So good. Dr. Amit Badra, sir, can you speak now?
Yeah, am I audible, Dr. Sudhakar?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Mr. Pallam, Raju, it's not very often that we meet someone of your stature and eminence. So I'd like to pose a rather mundane question, but I'm sure the answer will be very insightful. There's a view that India has missed the bus as far as manufacturing, global manufacturing leadership is concerned. There's a view that we seem to have missed the bus. What is your view? Do you agree with that, or what's your view, sir?
There are a range of factors. Like I said, one of the things that we have neglected is developing our ITIs and polytechnics, and thereby providing the skilling base that is so essential for industry to grow. We've only churned out degrees, again, maybe most of them without adequate knowledge base or lab base. And that has also become a burden to us in terms of the people who remain unemployed despite having higher degrees. Now, as far as manufacturing is concerned, I mean, apart from lacking the skill base which is needed for most of the premier industries, there are a range of factors, including the labor laws, the availability of finance, the general environment of harassment that manufacturing establishments are subjected to by the officials of various departments, which again are mandatory. So there is never an enabling environment for manufacturing in this country. Although, you have governments saying that it is a single window policy for you to get all permissions, it is nevertheless the reality on the ground level is a lot of running around, a lot of impediments that are put along the path. While if you look at China, which has grown expeditiously, I think the access to finance is very, very seamless. I think the support is incredible. The state is very clear on its objectives of volume production, ensuring quality, being very clear about where the markets are for each quality of their products, and hence the differentiation. So if you compare it to our eastern neighbor, I think we fall behind quite significantly. But I feel nothing is lost. With adequate substantial changes to enable the manufacturing industry, we can come back. I think the government has demonstrated its willingness to support the mobile manufacturing industry through the PLI scheme, which has now we've become the second largest manufacturer of mobile phones worldwide, and we are exporting them. With similar policies, enabling policies and action on the ground, there are changes that we can do because we ourselves are a large market. So I think if we get our act together and address these conditions which are inhibiting comprehensively, we can create a platform for greater growth in manufacturing.
Very heartening to know that, sir. Thank you very much for your response.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for raising a very important question. And very often it looks like it is because of skilling or the lack of it that we missed several buses. And also very optimistic to note from Pallam Raju sir that, there are a few more buses coming our way and we should definitely get into those buses. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. And I want to also acknowledge that our CFO, Mrs. Ratnabhanu, has joined. Welcome, madam. And if you have any question, don't hesitate to raise your hand. We will take that as well. And all other leaders who have joined, please raise your hand. We will borrow a few more minutes from our leader here. I'll request you, sir, to answer a few more questions.
No, I'll do it happily.
Yeah, very good, sir. Thank you. I'll now request Ms. Anju Parvez to raise her question.
My question was, sir used in his presentation, sir said that India is 4th largest economy. Whereas in certain discussion on YouTube, I heard that India actually is at 9th position. So I wanted sir's comment on this, number one. Number two, sir, how reliable are the data which is being provided by this government? Because I teach in a college and, I find so many dichotomy in the data provided by different agencies, government and government agencies. So what is your comment on this, sir? Thank you.
I didn't get the first part. You said we are in the 9th position in what?
Yes, I heard some noted economist discussing on YouTube that India is not at the 4th position. It is rather 9th largest economy in the world.
Economy.
No. I think, data at that level cannot be fudged. And we have certainly grown as a GDP. But like I had pointed out, GDP isn't the only measure of greatness. I think, there has to be some depth value in the per capita income also, where unfortunately, as far as per capita income is concerned, we are very lowly placed worldwide. And that needs to be changed. The big economic divide of the small percentage of people who are affluent and the large percentage, with a substantial percentage still being under the poverty line, is the factor, I think, that needs to be addressed by governments and leaders.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We put it back on 4th, Mr. Anjum Parvez.
Thank you. I accepted this, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll request Mr. Chaudhary to ask his question. Yeah, but on his behalf, let me take the question. What Mr. Chaudhary would like to know from you, sir, is what measures the government should take to provide more job opportunities in India and stop the migration of qualified people from India to other countries. So that is the question.
I think migration of qualified people to other countries will not stop because they will go where the opportunities are. And I don't think it is fair to stop them also. Of course, I mean, we have seen the brain drain happening from our IITs, but eventually at some point of time, they have come back, either as leaders of global institutions or they've come back to serve the country. So I think that is a natural process that we cannot stop. But the important factor is to create the hope within. And, there I think the services sector has continued to play the role of the provider. And, you're seeing new ideas coming about. And now the government, there's a lot of emphasis on entrepreneurship, making funds available for entrepreneurship, making funds available for startups. So I think, the entrepreneurship mantra has caught on, but how successful would it be in creating employment and in sustaining the economy remains to be seen, because this is a new thought. People are, very aspirational these days. Youngsters are aspirational. They don't want jobs. They want to be entrepreneurs. They're not sure how to go about it. We have institutions trying to guide them. In Hyderabad itself, we have the example of the Tea Hub, which is under one roof. You guide the entrepreneur through the various stages of a startup and how they raise money and how they stabilize. How do they go for the next round of funding? All these are steps that need to be walked through with entrepreneurs. And I think that base needs to spread in a qualitative manner if we are to create true enterprises. Similarly, as far as knowledge work is concerned, there still seems to be a confidence gap from the international community about funding knowledgeable ventures out of India. And that again needs to be addressed. We have to create that confidence that enterprises emanating out of India will make global products. We've so far serviced economies and companies which are benefiting through our knowledge work, but we have not been able to create products that are genuinely addressing India's needs or addressing a gap in worldwide demand.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much for that response. I think that is one area where we have found wanting. We have not yet made or built products that have actually found a gap and served the need either in India or globally, or especially in the global markets. Sir, that's about unemployment, because the problem of unemployment rises again and again. It happened across various governments, and therefore it's a very pertinent question. Not just people in education who are dealing with the students that are worried about this, but also in society, generally parents and elders in the society are also grappling with this issue. And therefore this comes up again and again. Our obsession with entrepreneurship has to lead to some kind of solutions for bridging this gap in one way, although nice steps are being taken. But do you have any suggestion to the education institutions to play a matching role so that we together reduce this gap?
Well, of course, two things. One is the education institutions have to get the students industry ready. That all depends on the quality of your faculty, the quality of even visiting faculty who have served in industry. These are definitely determinants that will decide the quality of the knowledge being imparted to the student and the industry readiness. Similarly, skilling institutions, we had the National Skill Development Mission, which was envisaged, and the whole idea was to create that workforce, which may not be of knowledge work, but which is of enterprise work, which will serve the various sectors where skills are needed, whether it's hospitality, whether it's manufacturing, whether it is the automobile industry, or whether it was the tourism sector. I think, the skills were important. And the National Skill Development Mission was required to skill about 500 million people by the year 2030. I don't know how effectively the subsequent government had handled it, because I think that is the area we need to focus on, because these skills that we build up, they may serve the country or they may create an opportunity for a youngster in another country, because there is a substantial demand for skills across the board from developing nations, and our youngsters can go and contribute to that economy. If you look at Japan today, there's short of skilled workers, and there's an opportunity there. So I think if we create that skilling base, it will not only enhance the quality of life within the country, but these skills can be useful to some other country globally. So these are the two things that I feel that we need to address in having the right faculty to create the students industry ready. Similarly, shoring up our skilling institutions so that an opportunity can arise for these people anywhere globally.
Very good, sir. Very good. Thank you very much. So skilling is a big focus area, and educational institutions will have to play the necessary role by focusing on that and creating subsector skilling as well. I'll request Mr. Pattabhiram to raise his question. He has keyed in the question, so I request him. Over to you, sir.
Mr. Raju, I have a question. I don't know how this will get interpreted, but I have a question. Dr. Manmohan Singh was an outstanding Prime Minister. He was responsible for Aadhaar. He was responsible for the nuclear deal. He was responsible for the RTI. He was responsible for the RTE, the right to education. And there were a number of other initiatives that he came out with. But popular perception about his achievements have not been as powerful as what Mr. Narendra Modi does today. Is there somewhere, and if so, yes, why has the UPA or the Congress not been able to push across the outstanding work that those terms did?
Yeah, I think it depends two things. One, it depends on the approach that a government takes in claiming credit or in believing that it is only a part of a continuum. Like I think we believed, with due respect to Dr. Manmohan Singh, that we were only part of a continuum. And our government was continuing the good work that was started before. And we expected that the governments following would continue the good work subsequently. And I think each government does it bits. And I think every government is well intentioned. Now, as far as claiming credit is concerned, again, there is a question of delivering and also the publicity involved. I think on that aspect, the UPA government was pretty poor in claiming credit despite the good work that we did on the ground. And we were also pretty bad at defending some of the things that our coalition partners did. For example, I think we were hounded out for the mining issues and also for the 2G scam. And the UPA government, I mean, the Congress was never involved, but the coalition partners were. We could have defended the 2G issue as a continuum of an old policy instead of trying to defend the notional loss that the Comptroller and Auditor General had attributed to the then decision. Apart from that, I think, like you had rightly mentioned, we did a lot of good initiatives, all this right-based legislation and in ensuring transparency, but we failed to claim credit. On the other hand, we have our succeeding government, which is high on publicity. I'm not saying that it's all hollow. They have done some good things, but at the same time, it is regrettable that they rubbished previous governments and say that nothing has been achieved in the past. But I guess that's the politics of the day. But each has their own approach. We've never politicized the defense of the nation. We believe that it was a continuum. And, but unfortunately, the achievements of our armed forces also are publicized, which I don't think is in the right spirit. If you look at my entire presentation, I have only spoken generally and never tried to claim credit for anything. But governance is a continuum. And I think we have to be, at the end of the day, if all political parties come to the agreement that, you do your politics, but if we are, at the end of the day, improving the quality of life for every living being in this country, I think that will be a great step forward.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. It's a great question and a wonderful answer. What is the answer? The answer is that your approach is defined by the philosophy that you believe in. If you believe that you are part of a continuum and you have a bounden duty to contribute to the upliftment and development of the nation and every citizen, then you may probably decide not to take too much of credit. But yes, when you do good work, you should also talk about the good work and tell the world that you have done the good work. Otherwise, when others come to power, they will probably rubbish you. That's also a lesson. Wonderful, sir. I have two last questions, but suddenly Mr. Aniruddha has raised his hand, so I'll cut my questions by one. If you allow me, I will ask my question and then I'll ask you to open the mic. So my question is, sir, you had a long stint in public life, okay, without a whiff of controversy. To the extent I have searched about you, I have understood about you, there is no whiff of a controversy. How do you actually personally stay anchored in values amid this political volatility?
I had great people to look up to, great leaders like Dr. Manmohan Singh, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, and Mr. Anthony, with whom I worked directly under. And I think that definitely had an influence on my thought process. I think one of the earliest lessons Mr. Anthony gave me was that he said that, in politics, power comes and goes. He made me realize that power was transient. It never stays in one place. And he said that I was a very heady ministry. We had convoys. I had a plane at my disposal. He said, don't ever let it go to your head. And I think that made me stay rooted. But I think it was observing these wonderful leaders and, understanding their intent and their conviction, which has helped me. And I hope and I'm proud that I could play an important role in two important ministries and take some effective decisions, again enabled by my leadership. And I feel grateful for the opportunity for having served the country.
Thank you, sir. That's so nice of you. The power of influence on you by your seniors and leaders around you, and that built conviction in you to actually pursue a particular path, which says that power is transient and don't let it go to your head. A lot of lessons for all of us here. Thank you, sir. I will ask the second question, sir. Is there a moment in your career where choosing values over political gain came at a cost, but you felt that it is the right thing in the long run? Give us that one moment.
No, I think I was always been guided by conviction and doing the right thing. And there was an opportunity for me to appoint 30 university vice chancellors to 30 central universities. And I had formulated the selection committees and, put it through the process. And we did a very diligent exercise in doing that. And, eventually the reports came back with the shortlisted names, and all I had to do was tick them. And so I was very tempted to do that. But by then the elections were announced. And I was advised by the visitor. The President of India is known as the visitor to use the central universities. He said, now that the elections are advised, I would advise that you should not make any selections, but it is your call. But then, I have this regret that I missed the opportunity to appoint 30 people whom we put through a selection process. But eventually, I think I had to be proper in following the election rules and following my value system. And that is one regret that I have.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That's a wonderful example, actually. And that sums up the priority given to values over short-term gains, and the political propriety, governance propriety over some kind of immediate gains. I think that's an amazing thing. Thank you so much for your time, energy, and expertise in answering all kinds of questions, given the canvas that is as wide as politics and public life. We couldn't have got a better person to handle this very important topic, sir. I am quite thankful to you on behalf of everyone here on the screen who have joined, on behalf of ICFAI Group, and on behalf of Professor Prasad as well, for adorning this 200th session in such a great style, which is very, very original, authentic, and highly insightful, not just for me and Professor Prasad, but for everyone who is joining today on Facebook as well as Zoom session here. But also a large number of people who go back to look at our sessions subsequently from the archives. They will also stand to gain and learn how to conduct oneself and remain cool and stay rooted to values like the way you have conducted yourself in your public life so far. I want to thank Dr. Srikanth Sundararajan, who has been a speaker earlier, for helping us connect with you and seek your time for this very important session. I also want to take this opportunity, while you're still there, I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone that made this 200 sessions possible. 200 sessions will not happen because of any single individual. It happens because of a collaboration. The power of coming together is visible, and it is stitched between one session to another session. And I always personally believed, and Professor Prasad would watch for this, that you will get noticed only when you do 200. You will not get noticed until 199. So the power of sustaining it, the ability to pull it through and do your job by putting your head down, is a lesson that we learned, not just from the leaders within our own organization, but also the leaders that we have encountered in the past, and from the leaders that who have spoken to us through these sessions. So some lessons are learned while we are conducting these sessions, and we are putting that to use. And we are indebted to a lot of these people who have connected us to the leaders. One, Mr. Pattabhiram, who has joined and asked you a question here, has helped me connect to various leaders. Thank you so much, sir. I also want to take the names of Mr. Somashekar of Hindu Business Line, Mr. Vinay Kamath of the Hindu Business Line, Mr. P. Chandrasekhar, then Mr. Benedict of Bangalore, and many other leaders who have helped me connect with important names. Some of the ideas like, drawing a list itself was a big use for us, and we maintain a great standard. Professor Raghunathan started the series with a wonderful session, and we never wanted to go below that standard. So we wanted to thank Professor Raghunathan for kickstarting a level of standard that ICFAI WiseViews sessions befit. And after that, we thought we should not actually lower the standard, and we kept on working harder. And Professor Prasad and I, although we don't get too much time to talk to, even today on the 200th session, we did not have any plan as to what we shall talk because it is 200th session. We were just going around as if it's a business as usual. But I think we should celebrate this. We will celebrate probably on Monday. We will let the United States of America celebrate today because of their freedom. So on Monday, we will celebrate once we are back to office the next working day. I also want to thank the invisible players who are making this happen, like Srinath, who is holding this session, Srikanth, who is sending emails to the speaker, to other panelists, and the team comprising of Jayanti, Shivashankar, the ICFAI online team completely, the ICFAI web team, the ICFAI branding team comprising of YSR, Sridhar, Ramanamurthy, Vishnu, Ravinder, Loka Srinivas, and the editing done by Ravi religiously week after week. I think all the efforts, small efforts, have helped us stitch together and put together these 200 sessions. And I don't see the number of sessions coming to an end anytime sooner. This will go on. This is a running train that we have jumped into, and the train shall go on. And hopefully, we will get more and more insightful leaders talking to us as we move forward every week. I also would like to thank Dr. Amit Badra for joining very recently in the last couple of sessions. I request you, sir, to join regularly and ask those wonderful questions. I also thank Dr. Mahendra Reddy. I thank Mr. V.R. Shankara, and I thank the chairperson of ICFAI Group, Madam Shobharani Yashaswi, for ever encouraging us constantly and making it happen very, very silently without actually, coming onto the screen anytime. That kind of leadership is quite insightful and inspiring for all of us. We hope we emulate some of those values as we go by. I also want to thank Professor Prasad. Just because he's here, I don't want to deprive him of the praise that he deserves. He's a cool customer. He works very hard, and he phrases all the questions. And I have the liberty of not using those questions sometimes. He won't mind. So thank you so much, Professor Prasad, for your erudition, for your patience and leadership. There's a lesson that we also have to learn from internal leaders. You are one of them. I am always thankful to you for your encouragement. When I said that we will continue to do these sessions on and on, you were the first one to bring in that conviction and said that, yes, we have lots of leaders in this country, and there's no dearth of searching for them. There's no dearth of leadership. Therefore, there's no reason why we should not continue these sessions. Thank you very much for this encouragement. You are the closest that I have here on conducting these sessions, but that doesn't mean I stop my praise, because that is what you deserve. Thank you so much, Professor Prasad, for adding value and professionalism. One very important credit we need to give is to Dr. Ved Purishwa, who has been a silent force behind the scenes. He has been putting together the summaries of this session. He will go through these sessions painfully week after week. He will actually draft it into a text summary, and all these text summaries are made available on our WiseViews archives. And he is the architect of all these summaries, not one, not two, but 200 so far. I'm sure hundreds more as we go forward. Thank you, Dr. Ved Purishwa, sir, for your unwavering support that you have lent to us. Whenever you speak and whenever you write mails to us, it's been a great encouragement. And I hope with that energy, we will continue to surge ahead and create many more insightful sessions. If I have missed anyone, it is probably my inefficiency to take some names, but I'm largely very, very thankful. I am overjoyous as we come to this moment of celebrating 200 sessions. I hope your continued presence will give us lots of energy to take it forward. I'll also request Professor Prasad to say a few words and then we can close after that. Kindly bear with us, sir.
No problem.
Yeah.
I forgot to thank Srikanth for giving my name to you.
Okay. Yeah.
Srikanth Sundrajan.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank
Professor
you.
Prasad.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Rao. I think ICFAI has been a great inspiration, particularly the late NJ Yashasvi sir. And if there is such an aspiration that we want to do what no one else has done, and perhaps the most important thing in management is to speak to people who've been there, done that, and get the insights from them. I think he's been a very, very large inspiration, and the entire ICFAI platform is indebted to his foundership and base of values on which we work even today. And I think that name now includes so many others that we have not named, and these things would not have happened without that. So I'm thankful to all of them, and I thank Professor Sudhakar Rao, because this would not have been possible without him. We have painstakingly moved from 1 to 2 to 3, and going up to 200 without hardly any breaks, except when somebody, a leader, is not able to take up a particular session. And I think that in itself is a major thing that a lot of people are looking at, and something that needs to be done in education as well as in any profession. And I'm very happy that fortunately we've been able to do that. So thanks to Professor Sudhakar Rao for playing his part in doing that and moderating this wonderfully well. And thank you, sir, for being more a professional and less a politician, and therefore highlighting to all of us that these things are possible. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So in the last 200 sessions, we have covered sectors like e-commerce, retail, edtech, education, healthcare, fintech, telecom, clean tech, personal finance, startups, internet, spirituality, social work, sports, defense, aerospace, literature, and public life and politics today. With you, we have completely rounded it up in terms of the number of possible sectors that we can look at. We hope that all the speakers who have spoken now will also give us the leads to good leaders that are available in this country. From one leader to another leader, we will make this journey and bring these sessions for public good. And learning has no break. As Professor Prasad was saying, we are not taking any break. If a session falls on a public holiday like a festival, we thought that festival will keep on going. One day on the Diwali night, we continue to have the session in spite of the noise of the crackers that we were having in the background. I thought if we stay committed, we should continue to learn. And that is the value that ICFAI would like to actually share as a message to the community of learners in this country. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your patience. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. So for 201 on the next Friday at 6:30 p.m., we will join you with another leader, and together we shall continue to learn. Have a great weekend and a good night, and keep learning.